Bom dia, pessoal, e bora para mais um dia aqui em Nova York. Hoje é um dia muito especial e já vocês vão entender por quê e para onde a gente está indo. Hoje começa oficialmente a Nexus e foi para isso que a gente veio. Bora acompanhar a gente.
Oi, gente, tudo bem? A gente já tá aqui, quase chegando na ONU.
Sim, a gente tá muito feliz, é um sonho realizado estar aqui.
E a gente vai chegar, a gente vai encontrar a delegação brasileira, que é a maior da ONU. E daí depois a gente vai ter o evento do To Nexus. E a gente tá muito animado, vai ser um dia incrível.
Vai ser muito legal, acompanhe a gente.
E aí, Grazi, onde a gente chegou?
Tá chegando na ONU, em Nova York, com os alunos do Voluntariado Jovem. Vai ver essa experiência do Nexus Global Summit. Acompanhem que vai ser inédito, ó, galera.
A gente tá na ONU, juro, que emoção que é chegar aqui. O primeiro dia da Nexus Global Summit acontece aqui na sede da ONU em Nova York, com um briefing privado e exclusivo com algumas áreas, e a gente vai receber informações sobre como a gente está em relação ao alcance dos Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável, as ODS da ONU, né? Que, para quem não sabe, são 17 metas que a ONU estabeleceu para que em 2030 a gente possa viver em um mundo melhor e reverter os danos que a gente já causou ao planeta. Então, bora pro briefing.
Amber and I had a dream. The dream was that if we could unite young people from around the world and bring them together at the United Nations to partner with the United Nations, we could hurry history. And today you are here to do just that. The theme of our UN briefing today is innovation and collaboration. And you're going to hear from UN agencies who are actively collaborating with Nexus members to drive change at scale. Next year, we hope to be back right here with more of your stories to come and tell us how you're collaborating. When you're collaborating with the UN, that's when you get to take the stage. Next year, we want a full day program with hundreds of collaborations. So get your listening ears on, get your hearts turned up, and get ready to be inspired by innovation and collaboration from the UN. Please join me in welcoming the amazing Anne Marie, who is Executive Director of the United Nations Office of Partnerships. We are very proud to have worked with the UN Office of Partnerships for 12 years.
Are off track. And if we take stock of where we are today, we look around, we're in a climate crisis, a humanitarian crisis, and arguably a financial crisis. So here's the first secret. When you have a problem, if you have a solution, why don't you go towards it with all that you have? And the solution that we have to every single one of the SDGs is women. Women, the empowerment of women and girls, impact every single one of the SDGs, from ending poverty and hunger to promoting prosperity and peace, inclusive societies, and being able to fulfill on the promises that we committed to with the SDGs. I won't go into a lot of details because I really would like you all to hear directly today from two extraordinary women who are leading the charge here, who we have entrusted the SDGs with, and that is Anna Falk and Sarah Douglas. So I'm going to start here today with Anna Falk. Now, Anna Falk is the Women's Empowerment Principal Secretariat, and she is an extraordinary proponent of women in business.
Thanks very much, Luisa. As I said, all parts of the UN system are really gearing up for making their contribution to the climate crisis and trying to deal with both the mitigation side and adaptation, as well as the financing. UN Habitat, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is the part of the UN system that deals with housing and urban development. Many of the countries represented here have ministries of housing and urban development, or departments of housing and urban development, in which you're wrestling with the lack of housing in your respective countries. The housing stock is much smaller than it should be, and the quality of the housing is often not there, and the way housing is built is often a big problem, especially on the climate side. In terms of urban development, roughly 7 out of 10 people will be living in urban areas by 2050. 7 out of 10 people. So the future of urban is really going to be the future of climate, the future of women, many futures.
Oi, gente! Então, a gente acabou de sair do UN Briefing. E Lá a gente conversou com 5 pessoas incríveis, projetos incríveis. E a gente também conheceu um pouquinho mais, né? A gente conversou sobre as ODS e como elas conectam com os projetos das pessoas. E foi realmente demais, tá todo mundo aqui muito animado e muito feliz por aqui.
Além disso, a gente também ficou um tempo livre onde a gente pôde conhecer pessoas e o que elas gostavam de fazer, de onde elas eram, então foi um momento bem especial e o começo de uma viagem que vai ser incrível.
A gente tá saindo da ONU e agora a gente vai almoçar rapidinho mesmo, porque a gente já tá atrasado para o próximo evento da Nexus, que vai acontecer lá no espaço onde vai ser a conferência nos próximos dias, que é perto do Financial District. E o evento é o To Nexus, que é basicamente um workshop para quem nunca veio, onde eles explicam como funciona a conferência, quais são as regras e fazem algumas dinâmicas para a gente se conhecer.
Oi, gente, a gente tá aqui na Nexus já, né, que a gente estava na ONU. E daí a gente teve o To Nexus, que a gente conheceu todo mundo que é novo aqui no Nexus. E a gente fez umas dinâmicas super legais para conhecer todo mundo. A gente fez um pouco do projeto dos outros. E agora a gente vai para nossa primeira plenária e tá muito legal.
Os jovens estão lá numa outra sala assistindo uma palestra, que é a plenária. E aqui são os breakout rooms, tá vendo? Cada portinha dessa é um breakout room. Eu vou entrar para vocês verem como é. Mas a gente sempre vai se encontrar aqui nesse salão. Então, todo mundo pertinho um do outro o tempo todo. Olha só. E aqui a gente faz o nosso networking, cafezinho, lanchinho, e esse é o nosso espaço dos próximos dias.
My name is Rachel Gerrol. If you don't have a chair, we are bringing them in for you on heads of humans. We will do anything to make sure that you can be with us tonight. Thank you for traveling far and wide. I believe we have people here from many different countries, but I'm not sure which ones. So I'm going to ask you, over here, where are you all from tonight? Brazil! I heard Brazil. Okay, what about over here, where are you from? I still heard Brazil. No, I heard Australia. Raise your hand if you're from Australia. Okay. Now just for fun, raise your hand if you're from Brazil. Okay, Liz, where are you from tonight? Is dedicated to you turning your dreams into plans and to finding collaborators to make you dream even bigger. You come to Nexus and you are here to learn, but also to inspire and be inspired. So we hope you'll share your dreams with everyone you meet, and you'll find several people who want to collaborate with you. Now, you come with many different passions and interests. So we'll start on this side. What are your passions over here?
I describe Nexus as a movement to reach communities of wealth and impact, and it's going to exist forever. Because it didn't exist, and it will be here. In 2018, I reduced my role in Nexus to start doing new intergenerational philanthropic learning and collaboration programs. And I created one for US democracy and another one for global governance reform. And then when the pandemic started, I started doing everything about the Amazon. Rainforest, not the .com. I live in Seattle now, so I have to do that. So basically, the world's capital markets are expressed through our membership. And we are mobilizing investment, corporate procurement, and philanthropy to work alongside each other to make the forest work more alive and standing than cutting down. And last year we made over 300 introductions between financiers around the world and Amazonians. And as a result, there have been historic levels of investment.
Watching humanity, Belleville, Kaganaki walk, Umbi walk, Gerrol walk, and down. Anashik, Mahikanatu. Anashik Katanakskila. Anashik Luanawan. Anashik Wasikam. Anashik Shawanawan. Anashik. Ninju Sinzi, Tokos Ramapo, Mapwa, Navlotman Wundak, Ato, Ramapo, Munsi, Unape, Anishnaabe. I know none of you all understood that. Probably if you do, please contact me afterwards. This is in the Munsee language, the original language of these lands. And English was, thank you who created us from thought. Thank you, Great Spirit, for giving us our earth, our waters, wind, and fire. Thank you, Mahikanatuk, the river that flows both ways, known in English as the Hudson. Now they think about a special thanks to the New York State Legislature that just passed a ban on disposing radiological radiated water into the river. And then I think the four directions, east, north, west, and south. And I think the best way to do a land acknowledgement is to acknowledge the lands and the waters. And then finally I introduce myself as a member of the Deer Clan and the Ramapo of the Munsee of the Lenape of the Anishinaabe people. It's my pleasure to introduce my chief, Dwayne Perry. Thank you.
Chief Perry of the Ramapo Lenape, the people whose land we now set up on. Because of without the help of our ancestors, there would literally be no New York, no New Jersey, and no United States of America. Well, that's a pretty big mouthful. You gotta be a New Yorker to say that, right?
Very exciting to be here. I'm going to start just polling y'all a little bit just to understand where you are. So, how many of you have used Khan Academy with your children? Children? That means you have children? Okay. How many of you use it yourself? And how many really don't know what it is or have never used it? Okay, good. Okay, we'll cover a little bit of that. All right, the second thing that I want, and this is a little bit more esoteric. How many of you have read Neil Stephenson's book, Diamond Age? All right, there's a few science fiction books here. Don't worry, I will explain why that's relevant in a second. And then my last question is, how many of you, or my series of questions, how many of you think that AI is going to ruin education? A few, yes, brave folks. How many of you think it's going to save education? A few. And everyone else is unsure or confused. How many are unsure? 3. Okay, good. I think all right, that gives me a sense of things. So just to start off, a little bit about how Khan Academy started, because I really started as a tutor, and I think you're going to see this as a theme throughout as you go from me all the way to scaling, as was just introduced to a lot more folks, and then we'll talk about how AI is likely to play a very, very big role in this. So if we rewind back to 2004, I was a year out of business school. I had just gotten married. I was living in Boston. My family from New Orleans, where I was born and raised, was visiting me in Boston. And it just came out of conversation that my 12-year-old cousin Nadia, who was visiting, was having trouble with math. So I offered to tutor her remotely. She goes back to New Orleans every day after, I was working at the time as an analyst at a hedge fund. Every day after work, after markets closed, I would get on the phone with Nadia. We would do our tutoring session. And slowly but surely, she got over her math anxiety. She learned unit conversion. I called up her school. I said, can I really think Nadia Rahman should be able to retake that placement exam from last year? They said, who are you? I said, I'm her cousin. They surprisingly let her, and the same Nadia who was put into a remedial math track was now put into an advanced math track. So I was hooked. I started tutoring her younger brothers as well. Word spreads in my family that free tutoring is going on. And before I know it, I'm tutoring 10, 15 cousins, family, friends all over the country every day. And my original background is in technology, and I immediately realized it's very hard to do with 15 cousins what I was able to do just with Nadia or Nadia and her brothers. So said maybe I could write some software that I could give them practice problems. I saw a common pattern that the reason they were struggling wasn't because they weren't bright, wasn't because they didn't have good teachers, it was because they had gaps in their knowledge, they needed more practice,
Okay, we're gonna start out by playing the room. All right, okay, we can up this. Okay, that's the vibe we're going for.
This is my sister.
I guess we're having the kitchen table conversation this evening. Let's do it. So Leon, but for real, so as a philanthropist with your foundation, the Hair Foundation, what brought you to this work?
Yeah, so let me start back. November 11th, 2012, I was actually shot 5 times by a Pittsburgh police officer. I was not only shot, but I found out days later that I would be paralyzed, and I was also facing up to 20 years in prison. That prompted my activism. I became a local activist and then a national activist, fighting for the rights of people who were being harmed by police. After years of depression, anger, frustration, and resentment, I found healing within my heart to forgive the officer who shot me and decided to lean in and found a foundation with the former police chief in Pittsburgh.
E depois dessa plenária de abertura, a gente tá exausto, então a gente tá indo direto pro hotel para descansar, para curtir bem o dia de amanhã. E não deixe de acompanhar os nossos vlogs, tá bom? Semana que vem tem mais.